Hello, everybody. It is 7 o'clock p.m. EST on March 16th, 2026. I probably do it in a different order most times. Either way, it is the Dovecote episode 86. And it's a unique one. It's a different one. We're doing something a little silly this time. Listen. Hang on, I gotta go back up because I was in the credits. I wanted to see the inspirations list because I was going to be mentioning them in the promo. But yeah, I have been really excited to give this game a read, and I feel like as as a certain kind of faggot, I have a responsibility to try and read this sort of thing. Maybe not a responsibility. I feel like that makes it seem less fun than it is, because I am actually quite excited to give this thing a read. But you know, I feel as if I have a duty at least to try and keep up with the sorts of things that you know, people who are like playing and reading and writing. I would say kinky and kink adjacent TTRPGs are out here looking at and playing, and so toward that goal, it's a Dovecote where I just read GIRLFRAME and kind of give my thoughts in it. It may not be a one-to-one read. There may be bits where I skim. I highly recommend you get it yourself. This is the latest version, which was actually released on itch today. Also, thank you folks for following. I'm probably not going to do I'm yelling.
No, continue.
Oh, okay. Sorry. My girlfriend touched my thigh and it was like, am I yelling? She's squeezing my thigh. Oh no, oh no. What are you doing?
Nothing, don't worry about it.
She's like a rock on? Were you about to flip my nickel? Were you about to flip my nickel? Okay, she's flipped my nickel. All right. Folks should grab GIRLFRAME. It is available at the link that I sent. I believe you can also follow Thistle's Patreon, which is somewhere. Let me hunt this thing down really quick. Here we go. For like up-to-date updates on this. I feel a strange way about reading a whole ass book on this show. However, like, so I should probably get into this before I get too deep into the reading here, so that it doesn't interrupt the reading. You might be wondering, this seems like a strange format for a Dovecote. You've never done something like this before, and yeah, I've kind of been thinking about the format of the show, and I think it is ultimately going to be more helpful for me to separate out Dovecotes based on what their purpose is. So, for example, this actually I can show you all. I have different logos for each type of Dovecote. Hang on, we're gonna talk about this really quick. Apologies to folks who were excited for my my prompt thoughts on GIRLFRAME. I have a tendency to amble a bit in the beginning of these episodes. So we have regular the Dovecote logo. New book, name of the Dovecote. We have, I realize the contrast is probably not great here, but we have emergency Dovecote, which includes stuff like the Neopets Dovecote that a small portion of you may have seen before it was wiped off the internet forever by the Twitch Corporation, by Bezos himself. And we have what we're doing today. We have a Dovecote workshop. Yeah, so I'm going to talk about GIRLFRAME in a moment here. We have a Dovecote workshop, which is stuff like this, which is reading and writing. So yeah. So let's first of all, really good cover. Who's the artist on this cover? We should delve into the credits here and see who the artist is. Moss and Twigs .bluesky.social. Does this person have commissions open? I don't know. Well, either way, that's the artist. Thank you, Bella. It was a really good discussion of the Neopets teacher. I will say, I don't want to get anyone's hopes up. I will say that there are a significant number of people in the group chat that we had. Well, okay, well, first of all, I'll just say it outright. That group chat is still talking about the Neopets teacher and has been talking about it since we did that episode. But there is a significant portion of people in that episode who want to do a do-over because there's so much new information. Okay, I'm gonna focus on GIRLFRAME now. I've gotten all the preamble out of the way because it's been a bit. To be fair, it has been a bit since I was on here, so it's worth addressing some matters. GIRLFRAME, yeah, I mean, Starry Notions has said pretty much everything that I would want to say about this cover. Really sells the scale and impact of the direction of the game. The way that the figure in the front is kind of a mirror to the mech in the back. The use of color here, the use of tubes as a as a way of showing that both of them are kind of bound to this machinery. Yes, and I also just like the color palette here is really fun. So let's get into GIRLFRAME. I'm gonna be eating dinner while I do this. You love to see just an immediate hop in the Discord server, which I am in, and you should also join. I'm assuming. I'm assuming this is a forever invite. Is this on the page for the game itself before I... Okay, yeah, I don't think I'm going to share that just in case. I'm assuming the goal is to keep people who own the game in the chat. So, let's talk about the content warnings, content notes. Content notes: misgendering / transphobia, homophobia, sexism, abuse, sexual assault, drug abuse, toxic relationships, dehumanization, fascism, body horror, torture, brainwashing, ableism, non-consensual surgical procedures, suicide, lobotomies, hallucinations, memory loss. The book is a forever link. The itch page was edited because it got too big. I see. That is understandable. Yeah, so I will not be sharing that because I feel as if it's not my place to do so. Did I read the promises? Promises, messy lesbians, toxic power dynamics, giant robots fighting Elchars, oppression, and hard choices. What is GIRLFRAME? GIRLFRAME is a teacher RPG using the Powered by the Apocalypse engine, specifically the version designed for Apocalypse Keys, or designed by Ray Najati for Apocalypse Keys. Also a great fucking game. Really cool. I made this game for 12 other designers who are all you weirdos. Fuck yeah. To tell a story about lesbian pilots forced into half-living mech suits and sent by their handler to kill Gorgons, eldritch beings from outside reality. Okay. I'll wait to comment on that. I'm interested. I mean, I can start by saying, like, I think it's interesting that we're starting on pilots versus external threat, which is very like Ava style thing, which is interesting. Like, obviously there are really interesting human dynamics that come out of that. I mean, Ava is a fucking classic for a reason. Excuse me. Setup. One player will play as the handler who manages the world of the game. The handler maintains the rules of the setting and gives the girls challenges to overcome, while trying to maintain the Foundation's rules and keep the world from being overwhelmed by the Gorgon threat. The rest of the players each play a girl, one of the pilots of the Vital Frames. They'll play their character honestly, chafe against challenges presented by the handler and other girls, and see whether they can resist their oppression to fall for it. Or sorry, resist their oppression or fall to it. Ava, if Shinji got her HRT and Masato was a very bad person. Yeah. How do we play? While the rest of the text will get into the nitty-gritty, essentially each of you is playing to experience the character you've created. You can frame the game as a set of rules that facilitates and aids you in having a conversation. You'll discuss what happens conversationally, and occasionally, when it seems appropriate, the rules demand it. Or you want to drive home a statement, you will make plays. Plays are not the only things you can do, but they are tools for making an impact on the world mechanically. You can make plays as you like, unless the rules say otherwise. Finally, this game is constraining. Other players and your handler can use their own plays to demand that you act in certain ways, and sometimes they might be able to force you outright. This game does not necessarily respect your agency, and it certainly does not respect your character's agency. If this is a problem for you, feel free to try this game anyways, but this is your warning. So something I'm noticing immediately, which is like really interesting to me, because I think it like shows my bias. I'm like so used to erotic games that are very voicey, and this being like so specifically focused on kind of delivering the rules in a kind of matter-of-fact way is really interesting, which I think is consistent with the way that Apocalypse Keys does it. I think Apocalypse Keys is also not necessarily voicey. And to be clear, I'm not necessarily saying voicey as like a... It's like voicey is not good or bad, right? Sorry, I'm also eating my rice while I read, which is like probably probably a silly idea, but
What?
she's touching my boob.
Don't worry about it.
Okay, yay. Yeah, I took my shirt off because I was hot. I'm always hot though. A very immersive experience, yeah. So we have a lexicon. Girls, the PCs, usually lesbians who pilot vital frames. Legally not human, the player characters, PCs. So to be a girl is to be legally not human, or at least to be a girl, a capital G girl, is to be not human in this setting, which is interesting. Like legally not considered a human person. Like in yeah, that is I'm interested to see the commentary on gender here, because that is like, you know, that is immediately some like really sharp misogyny in an interesting way. I think in a way that like some Mexplo is maybe even too maybe not afraid, but just doesn't touch in that sort of direct way. Handler, a high-ranking Foundation member who manages girls while they are on missions or between missions. The other player character. NPCs, non-playable characters, even members of the Foundation. Pilots, people who pilot vital frames. Used mostly interchangeably with girls. Vital frames, giant modular robot suits, mechs or mecha, who are powered by the pilot's emotions, often shortened to frames. So we're doing emotion-powered mechs. We're not doing like Neuralinks. I mean, we kind of are, right? Like the line between like hard sci-fi Neuralink and like soft sci-fi, my robot is powered by my emotions, is very thin. Thin and wavery. We have a Neuralink to our emotional engine, exactly. The Foundation, a world government. New stream, what dis? Reading GIRLFRAME. The Thistle's GIRLFRAME. The Foundation, a world government dedicated to the protection of humanity against the Gorgon threat, and the creators of the Vital Frames. Gorgons, destructive giant beings from void space whose mere presence causes changes to the human body, and the primary threat to humanity and the Foundation. An alternate dimension without any natural light, which humanity broke into for the purposes of faster-than-light travel, causing the unleashing of the Gorgons. Real space is the term for the home dimension of humanity. Rat computing, thank you for the follow. It's interesting, not to compare this to other things, but I'm just like, yo, like Warframe, the Void, the Volgara. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's interesting how much that lines up with the Void and Warframe, or it's like they also used it for faster than light travel, and then it fucked them up. Harpies, speaking of which, girls who have been changed by Gorgons to the point where they are no longer human. Strange ethereal beings who fight against the Foundation. Now, like, I understand that this is, like, it's really interesting. Hang on, we're gonna highlight. I'm whipping out the highlighter. It's really interesting that we have legally not human here, followed by harpies being no longer human. And I understand that, like, that's the idea, right? I like that. This is the thing that I like. It's really cool. Hell yeah. Okay. Did I skip stuff? I feel like I skipped stuff. No, I didn't. I just have a really bad memory. Hi, Shrika. Yeah, unfortunately, my brain is bad. We're working on it. But yeah, Neuralink. The connection. Oh, so we're doing Neuralinks. We're doing like emotional Neuralinks. Okay, this is cool. The connection between a pilot and his frame, several surgically installed ports along the spine that connect the pilot's senses and motions to the vital frame, often shortened to links. Cool. When the rules text mentions an NPC, it is specifically talking about human civilians and soldiers. The handler, Gorgons, harpies, and rebel pilots are not NPCs. You're not legally a person whether you're a harpy or a girl. That seems to be the case for among many societies, unfortunately. Gender and sexuality. Girls are the most common pilots of vital frames. Due to the specific and complex emotional cocktail required to effectively link to a frame, lesbians make up a majority of pilots. I really like this. I kind of want more of an explanation of that. That's a really interesting concept. I think that it's really interesting how this, and maybe this will get more intricate as we go. I think it's really interesting that this is like kind of like this is doing like a predefined setting, but it's from a very game designy angle. Like it's a very levers ass angle. And like I do agree, like lesbians should, like, I would use the lesbians too, if I were a fucked up evil fucking, like, if I was a handler. Pilots are not legally human for the duration of their service, and as such are exempt from anti-discrimination laws. It is standard practice within the Foundation that all vital frames are referred to with she, her pronouns, while all pilots are referred to with its. Interesting. Yeah, the overlap of, like, oh, didn't realize that was gonna do that. The overlap of, like, girl and its is really interesting, and the way that the machine is referred to as she, her pronouns. This is fascinating. A machine can be a girl, but a girl has to be a machine. Yeah. Disability. Very little is required to be a pilot. You need a Neuralink implant and the ability to generate cortisol. Limbs, eyes, and ears are referred, but can be worked around with minor cockpit design adjustments. The Foundation considers all of their aids, paid medication, mobility, etc. to be up to the handler's discretion. Oh, here we go, there's more, okay. Sorry, I gotta stop saying, like, oh, I'd love more about this, and then immediately saying, and then immediately hitting the fucking the consequences of my words. Why lesbians? Initial Neuralink tests were done on lesbians who were found to have life experiences and emotional tendencies that are the most compatible with current Neuralink technology. As there is not yet a shortage of lesbians, the Foundation has put its efforts towards making their limited number of frames more effective rather than expanding the already sizable pool of pilots with new Neuralink technology. Note, a modest percentage of pilots do not consider themselves to be lesbians. As any handler will tell you, this is primarily due to stress-induced confusion or societal repression, and is a delusion that must be corrected to maintain pilot efficiency. I kind of adore this whole thing in the sense that, like, I think that there's a version of this that is very, like, just, you know, like, this is a game about lesbians, so it's gonna be about lesbians. I have a deep appreciation for the choice to just say, yeah, no, here's the lore for why it's lesbians. That is so much fun. I really like that. It's a really good note. Making a girl. To create a girl, everyone except your handler will pick a girl playbook and a frame playbook. Your girl playbook determines what most people view you as and how the Foundation thinks of you. It'll determine 2 assets: your bonds with other girls and with NPCs, several other plays and rules, including a sex play. Yes, we got sex moves are back in a huge way. Wait, so you have... Okay, wait. I don't know if Thistle's in chat, but I'd love your perspective. I'm sure you've talked about this before, and I'm sorry if I'm making you repeat stuff you've already said, but I've heard you talk about this like not being a kink game, and maybe that's me mischaracterizing Thistle's words. But I am really curious, like where Thistle lands on that. If you're in chat, feel free to say hi and give me your thoughts on that matter. And stop grabbing my boob. I'm so fascinated by that. I don't know. I may be incorrect. Thistle may not have said this isn't a kink game, but I remember there was some amount of shaping on that matter. It's not a kink if it's nature's law. So true. Actual play GF's horror game with kink as an aspect of the horror. Interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. Interesting. Anyways, I may just need to ask Thistle directly about that because I'm so curious. I'm rubbing my hands together. Maybe he'll come back from sessions and say the sex was the least interesting part of play. Very gratifying after arguing about it. More of an abuse simulator than a kink simulator. The sex was the least interesting part of... Yeah, I guess my perspective is like, I don't know if having sex be an interesting or gratifying part of play necessarily, like... This is the most politician speak I've ever heard anyone describe an RPG. I guess something that's based off kinky fiction doesn't have to be a kink game. Biotraffication doesn't have to... It's just the mechanics. I don't know. I think I think however someone describes their work is valid. I'm just curious about the process. I like to know these things. I view this game focused on the transcendent experience with kinks-less sexualization being an inextricable part of that. Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing some very different perspectives on this in the chat. Yeah, that's very interesting. I'll have to read these sex moves as well. I'll have to see like where the tone of the game sits with the having read the game, right? Yeah, it's interesting. I think like I have written a lot of games where... Oh, hello. Hi. Welcome. But yeah, I've written some games where it's like to have sex in them is an unpleasant experience, right? Like and I've described those games as kink games, but I don't necessarily like. I think I get the urge to. Why is this my username? Oh no. Uh, what was I thinking about? Yeah, just like I think it's really interesting how people label their own work, and I'm excited to see kind of what this looks like. Wait till you see punishments. I mean, I've seen the punishments in Seven Part Pact, which are like really kinky. I would describe Seven Part Pact as a kink game, even though like to have sex in that game would be a miserable activity, or to be punished in that game would be a miserable activity. I would describe well, it's tough because I know that, like, for example, Monstrosity does not describe itself as a kink LARP, but I think my experience of it was certainly as a kink LARP. Like, I think that's certainly true. So it's interesting. I think that, like, there is maybe a tendency, and I'm probably guilty of this. I think especially talking about Sapphic World, I'm guilty of this, of like not understanding just how erotic the things that we make are, or just how like our work is, like, to the degree to which our work is seen as kinky. Anyways, we gotta fucking move here. It's been a half an hour and I'm still in character creation. Yes, I honestly, like, well, I don't necessarily know if you really don't need to do much to get past payment processors. Punishment or punishment? I suspect this is going to be actual punishment. You know, this is not a very tongue-in-cheek thing. Is my sense. I think this is a more serious work. Anyways, we gotta fucking move here. Your frame playbook determines what kind of vital frame you piled into battle, and how that bleeds over to the rest of your life. It'll determine 2 assets. Oh, hi, Petra. It's good to hear from you, Petra. Hell yeah. 2 assets, several other plays and rules, a set of requisitions you can take as the game continues. You also have 4 identities you start with, which can be used to gain heat. You'll gain new ones during play by embracing tags. You have access to a room with a bunk, a combat knife, a pilot suit and civilian outfit, a neural link surgically implanted. Finally, tell the table your call sign, what you look like, your frame's name, what your frame looks like. Your legal pronouns are its. Your frame's pronouns are she, her. I love legal pronouns. What a fascinating little thing. Yeah, I definitely get that with regard to, like, a lot of mechs play being erotic horror rather than just porn. And I imagine it also depends on how you play it. Because I think about, like, Tin Toy, which is a game that, like, I think in concept is really fucking scary. And the one time I played it, it was really, really silly because me and the person who wanted to play it really silly. And so I think a lot of it comes down to, like, the tone you set at the table, right? How to play. Playing GIRLFRAME is about flowing together the conversation and plays of various types. The conversation is exactly what it sounds like. You sit together and go back and forth discussing what's happening in the game in a freeform manner. You can play and talk in or out of character as feels appropriate. Think of it like real-time scripting a film or writing a scene. You're working together to try and create an interesting story. During moments of tension, when you don't know what should happen next, or you want to punctuate a statement, you'll use plays to help the conversation move along and aid in driving the story forwards. The conversation is specifically a collaborative endeavor. Players should be listening to each other, discussing what's happening, doing flashbacks, and offering ideas. Ask lots of questions. If there's something that interests you as a player, or something that you feel you need clarity on, ask the other players at the table about it. Remember, if you're used to certain other TTRPGs, then GIRLFRAME the handler is a player too. They have their own character and their own rules to follow, just with a different set of rules than the other players. Alabambust was really, yeah. I I appreciate Ella's citing of Isabel Falls. I sexually identify as an attack helicopter. I cannot get in. Like, I think if I got into my feelings on that article on the stream, it would be a mess. Look back on my blue sky to the day when that article happened, and you will get my thoughts on that article. My thoughts are middling. I'll say. Like, I think that there is. I'll do a light version of my thoughts, which is that I think that there's a lot of really great mexploitation that is coming out right now. I think that there is a lot of reductiveness around mexploitation as an art form that I think that articles like Ella's kind of enable, and I feel very strongly that people should read mexploitation fiction to a more thorough degree before giving perspectives on whether or not it is stagnating. Because I think if you read anything by, for example, Prolitcult, and I know Prolitcult is cited in that blog, but if you read specifically Myrmidon, and other works in the scene, other, I would say, even non-Mexplo works, you would find that there's a lot of really good stuff there. And my other challenge, and I'll put this challenge out broadly, so anyone can do this. If you can find 12 mexploitation pieces that have over 5 kudos on AO3, and to my standards are sort of like redundant or aren't exploring new territory, then I will stop talking about mexploitation forever. But I don't suspect you're going to find that, because people, you know, even the most, I think, redundant piece, there's really I think that there's a lot of really good stuff. Yeah, I don't honestly know much about. Oh gosh, there's confusion about Isabel and the Isabels. I hope Isabel Falls doing well. Point being, anyways, I'm gonna get into the plays here. Plays. A play is a moment when you use the other mechanics of the game to make an impact on the conversation. If the conversation is flowing back and forth, then a play is the moment you slam your hand on the table and say, "This is what happens." They can be made at any time, either when their prompt comes up naturally, typically written as "when you do X," or just when you feel like it. Girls have access to basic plays as well as plays from their playbooks. Their handler has access to handler plays from the handler rules or from the handler playbook. As a player, handler, or girl, part of your responsibility is to look for interesting moments to use your plays, and to interpret them and engage the other players in them as you make them. So we're not doing straight PBTA moves, we're doing something closer to Apocalypse Keys, to I almost said Sage of the Anagogue, I meant Praise the Hawkmoth King. There's parallelism between their names that sometimes gets me a little turned around. Girls called Isabel keep making great trans fiction, so true. Girl and frame plays. The majority of girl plays and frame plays require you to roll 2d6, and you may spend heat. Heat is a resource discussed later on and earned through identities. Each heat spent adds +1 to your roll. Other adjustments to your roll are possible, such as through bonds, tags, or other plays. Most plays have 3 possible results. As a result if you get an 8, 9, or 10, a result if you get an 11 or higher, and a result if you get a 7 or lower. Yeah, we're doing Apocalypse Key shit. Hell yeah. Generally, you're not going to be aiming for the 8 to 10 range. Higher means consequences, and lower means failure. Or sorry, generally you are going to be aiming for 8 to 10. Mathematically, you'll typically get the most results of 8 to 10 by adding 2 heat to your roll. A little play tip for you to win. Not all these plays require you to roll dice. Some will ask you to pick from a list, or have some other mechanic that they explain. Some plays also won't allow you to spend heat to add to a roll, and will instead provide an alternative bonus to add. Yeah, I'm fond of the Apocalypse Keys framework. I remember I played a bit of Apocalypse Keys with. I don't recall exactly who. I know Jay Dragon was there and Molly Darling were there. I don't recall the rest of it. Don't recall the rest of the group. Anyways, handler plays. Handler plays are, unlike girl plays, almost always diceless. They are made when girl plays prompt you, or when your girls look to see what happens next, or just when you think your character feels like it. As the handler, you're responsible for your character or the handler. Of the handler. But you're also responsible for the world around the girls, including Gorgons, Harpies, Rebels, and other Foundation members and NPCs. I'm glad we have Rebels. I'm glad that we have some pilot on pilot. Pilot on pilot, fucking that is. Anyways, you don't necessarily have to be present in a scene to use your handler plays. Either way, you should be making them often, even if you're not necessarily telling the other players that you're making them in the moment. So the girl plays are keep your head, put someone beneath you, flirt, disobey orders, go off duty, and the frame plays are all out assault, go for the core, check sensors, receive orders, deep dive, or dive deep. So you have, it seems like your girl plays are more focused on either, like, things that are happening with your girl or downtime, and then frame plays are more things that are happening with your frame or doing some shit. I also am a huge fan of a separate GM playbook. I think that's like such a cool concept. It's something I didn't wind up doing. Well, it's something I kind of have in Sapphic World. Listen, it's very possible I read this and then I like post a thing in the Sapphic World chat like, hey, the campaign should work more like GIRLFRAME handlers, but also like Sapphic World's a very different thing, and I don't think that would work. However, yeah, Fellowship, huge fan of Fellowship. I'm actually going to be no, I can't say that on on Twitch. Vel Mini is a good friend of mine, I suppose. Is the thing I'll say. Vel is fantastic. Nobody knows Fellowship? It's a great game. I really like Fellowship. I would really love to make something that has a GM playbook one of these days. It's such a cool conceit. These are our plays. Keep your head. When you keep your head, say what you're trying to survive. Spend heat and roll. So my question here is, so with plays, right? Not to be a fucking editor editing Eclipse. Like, play is a shot. It's, they can be made at any time, either when the prompt comes. Oh, okay, there is a prompt. Gotcha. So it's either when you hit the prompt or when you feel like it. That's interesting. I do actually like that because it does make it so there is a, like, you should do this here. That is interesting. People don't know that. Yeah, to be fair, I am in boutique game designery spaces. I am the boutique game designer, perhaps to an absurd degree. Gotcha. Okay, that's cool. I like that it's either or. That's nice. When you keep your head, say what you're trying to survive, spend heat, and roll. On an 8 to 10, choose two you are and one you definitely aren't. I'm desperate enough, I'm sexy enough, I'm tough enough, I'm vicious enough, I'm in control of myself. On 11 plus, you're desperate, tough, vicious, and sexy, but you're definitely not in control. You'll have to take a tag to get through this. Have we heard about tags yet? I guess we'll see. What a tag is. On a 7 or lower, you can only choose one you are, and the others you definitely aren't. I like that this is almost like a mini BOB character creation bit, but it's a move. That's fun. That's really lovely. Fuck yeah, dog. Oh, wait, oh. Sorry, I'm just gonna... Okay. Papo Pepo. Put someone beneath you. Or sorry, if whatever you are isn't enough, your handler will make a play in response, and you'll need to be prepared for the worst. Put someone beneath you. When you put someone beneath you, spend heat and roll. On 8 to 10, choose 2. You insult her or hurt her and it sticks, give her a tag, lower her status, weaken or deepen your bond with her. On 11 plus, choose 1 from above and then 1 from below. Physically put her beneath you. Pick one of her tags. She can't choose to reject it unless you agree. If her status is lower than yours, punish her. Take 1 to 2 heat from her. If she doesn't have enough, gain 1 to 2 instead. On a 7 to 9, she can pick 1 from either list to do to you instead, or damage one of your assets and leave you bleeding. Hell yeah. Flirt. When you flirt with someone, say with who and spend heat, then roll. On 8 to 10, it's easy. Each of you can unmark 2 of your identities and ask her 1. So... Okay, well, I suppose I'll look at the way these playbooks are designed. There's some levers being thrown out here that I feel like I have a vague understanding of how they work, but I don't fully comprehend them. Which I suppose is the issue with reading a thing straight, because you would have looked at the playbooks by this point. On 8 to 10, it's easy. Each of you can unmark 2 of your identities and ask her 1. If you follow through on giving her what she wants, deepen your bond. Who do you want me to hurt? Who do you want me to be? What do you want me to hide? How could I alleviate your fears? What do you want me to call you? Do you want to fuck me or get fucked by me? On 11, tell her how you go too far. As an 8 to 10, but also pick 1. Unless you make a player damage an asset to escape now, you're helpless against me, unless someone interrupts. Yay, the pilot on pilot rape move. I'd love to see it. Our handler notices us and makes a play in response. I own you now. You can give me a tag and I can't say no to you until I've embraced or rejected it. Or sorry, I owe you. Sorry, I've been looking at computers all day. You're gonna have to be a little patient with me. On a 7 to 9, ask, why are you drawing away from me? Weaken your bond with her. Pilot mate. I see. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I'm glad that we're doing a little bit of both. Or I'm glad that will not be the only pilot rape move. On a 7 to 9, ask, why are you drawing away from me? Weaken your bond with her. She can unmark an identity of her own and pick 1 to ask you. I own you now, Darling Demon Eclipse. I'm always saying this to girls. And they get a little scared, I don't know why. Disobey orders. When you disobey a direct order from a superior, lose status, spend heat, then roll. On 8 to 10, you can disobey and pick 1. If your handler finds out, they'll punish you. I really like these moves. I'm kind of quiet here because these are just good. Hi. She's kissing. Okay. Well, first she kissed my head, and now she's like eating my head. Oh. Okay. Sorry, everybody. I'm sorry to people who hate mouth sounds. You can't say no to me unless you embrace or reject the tag I gave you. So true. So yeah, disobey orders. I don't know how much I read of this. It's a cool ass move though. Basic frame plays. I think I may start skimming a little bit now, just so that we can get to some of the meaty stuff. Unless the play states otherwise, you may use frame plays even while not in your frame. You share her blood, you share her capabilities. Fuck yeah, that's really fun. Darling Demon Eclipse is getting mind flayed. I wish. Honestly, it would be preferable to my current lifestyle. Like, getting turned into... I would honestly rather live the thrall life than what I'm doing right now. At least I wouldn't be fucking miserable then. Anyways. I'll add assault. When you pitch your frame into overdrive and go all out, spend heat and then roll. On an 8 to 10, pit one of your assets against theirs. If they can't defend themselves, damage both assets, then pick 1. I can protect my asset from damage. I push myself, taking a tag and damaging a second one of their assets. I unmark an identity, I can expose a weakness, opening up their core. I can get in a better position. On an 11 plus, as an 8 to 10, the pick up to 2 from above and 2 from below. You can't protect your asset from damage. I have to mark an identity. I get hit and they damage one of my other assets. The combat stims fuck with my head and my handler makes a play. I put someone else in a worse position and my handler makes a play against them. On a 7 to 9, they can definitely defend themselves, but you can pick one from each list anyways. All-out assault is not the only way to fight. You can keep your head to weather their attacks, get in close, giving an opportunity to expose their core. You'd flirt to ask if there's a way to make your foe retreat. You could put them down to inflict tags, making your final strike more likely to succeed. Cool. So we're doing some, like, that's definitely some like, you know, as I said, a Hawkmoth slash, no, I did kind of say protect my ass. I meant to say asset.
Protect my ass.
Yeah, we're doing some more Hawkmoth Apocalypse Key stuff here, which I quite like. Like, I think it's interesting to be doing a game, like, to design a PBTA around winning, around system mastery. I think that's pretty fun. Also, this is really interesting, the idea that you can use your frame plays while you're not in your frame. I quite like that. I think that's like a really cool way to like kind of allow you to explore the ways that you and your frame are the same or interconnected. That's sick as hell. I want to see if there's any of these that I'm like super curious about. I'd love to read receive orders. When someone of a higher status gives you an order, choose a response. Follow the order, making plays if necessary. Follow the order, pick one hesitantly while mouthing off with gritted teeth, making plays if necessary. Make a play to disobey orders from your girl one. Note, good girls follow orders. Your handler may reward you for being good by raising your status. So true. Yeah, this is cool. I enjoy the attention-seeking girlfriend contributions with her best Dr. Claw impression. Are you saying my girlfriend is an attention-seeking girlfriend? Are you a lemon-stealing whore, my love?
Oh yeah. Well, orange stealing whore.
Oh, from Florida.
Because I'm from Florida.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna skip through a little bit. Oh, interesting. I feel like, was Go Off Duty shown as a girl play previously? Yeah, it was, but I suppose it's just, yeah, interesting. True, she has been grabbing my boob in a serious way. I recommend folks give this a read on their own.
Next time with your name.
Go Off Duty is pretty important for understanding how the game works. Let's give it a read then. Go Off Duty. When you spend time at base, roll +0 if you were the dog, +2 if you were a wing, and +4 if you were the ace. On 8 to 10, your time off duty is comfortable. You set one of the following scenes with one or more of the girls. Players who get the best results in the game is like 30% system expertise and 70% being willing to take the most dramatic RP moves in the game. That tracks. That kind of lines up with other games of this kind of type.
I would argue that it's system mastery.
Yeah. No, I don't think that person was disagreeing with me.
No, but the 30% system expertise and 70% being willing to
I see what you mean.
dramatic move. Those are one and the same IMO.
Anyways, you may set one of the following scenes with one or more of the girls. A scene in the barracks, a scene in the mess hall, a scene in the hangar, a training exercise, something else that's part of your routine. On 11 and plus, your time off duty is busy. You must set one of the following scenes with your handler or one or more of the other girls. A scene in your handler's office, a scene in a nearby city, a scene with a harpy or other prisoner, a briefing or emergency meeting, something else out of the ordinary. On a 7 or lower, your time off duty is harsh. You must set one of the following scenes with your handler or one or more of the girls. Any punishments you face must happen on screen. A scene in your handler's office, a scene in the cell, a scene in your vital frame, a scene in the medical bay, something else you'd rather not be doing. So something interesting here is like, and I don't know if this is necessarily bad, I'd have to see it in play, but I do feel like there's a degree of almost like an expectation of well, I suppose it's saying like it's saying what your off-duty time is like is useful. But like, I would have to see like to what degree people kind of glom onto what these are implying, right? But then again, like if someone doesn't glom onto what a thing is implying about like, you know, genre conventions, that just means that the cool shit is going to happen. That means that new shit is going to happen, right? That's why you bring someone to a game who has not played games, because they're going to do some fuck shit. After going off duty, you can embrace a tag, unmark all identities, and undamage all assets. Ensure that you also resolve any requisitions or punishments that happened off screen. You can combine scenes together as desired if multiple girls wish to set the same scene. Good stuff. When you go off duty while under observation, instead of rolling to go off duty, lower your status and roll plus the number of void assets you have. On an 8 to 10, you have no privacy. Choose one, and your handler also chooses one. One of your girl void assets is surgically removed. One of your frame void assets is sawn off. You're assigned a junior handler or guard to keep an eye on you. You're poked and prodded at by scientists and doctors. You have an extended hospital stay, you're publicly shown off, and the general populace gives you a tag. JD is saying, as someone who's not a big teacher of jihad, yeah, some of this stuff is like, I don't really get it, so I have to figure it out. I think actually, specifically, the thing that I'm identifying with some of this is like, I feel like if you're not a big mech head, I would be, hang on, I'm sweating. Do you mind if I turn this? Cool. I almost feel like some of this is so mech slash mechsplo slash Gundam slash Ava that like I could see someone being intimidated by like, oh, is this supposed to be a certain scene from a thing I haven't seen, right? Or a thing I haven't read. Which like I don't necessarily think is an issue. I think that's something that that can be resolved through creativity. I don't know, it's interesting. It is interesting also, I want to note on Go Off Duty, the placement of the dog as the lowest downtime position is fascinating. Which it makes sense, because like, you know, that trope is specifically like you are worse than shit. It's actually making me think about Shrike Witches. Maybe that's just because of the kind of anime I watched. Huh. So this seems like mutation. Like you get fucking... You go under void observation when your handler suspects you having gained void or otherwise succumbing to corruption. Fuck yeah, that's cool. I love mech stuff with weird mutation. I would love to read the defeat thing here. That's intriguing. When you were defeated in a battle, roll with +1 for each girl asset you have undamaged. On 8 to 10, you grasp something and pull. So actually, okay, here's an interesting thing, because this is like so nitpicky, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But just the thing I'm thinking about, like, so this says when you're defeated in a battle, but also we did the thing where plays can either be used like based on the when this happen, when you do X or when you feel like it, which like is on some level interesting. Like that is an interesting kind of confluence of design thoughts. Like honestly, I'm running into a lot of things in this game where I'm like, that doesn't quite work for me, and then I look at them further and I'm like, oh wait, hang on. That seems kind of intentional. Or like rather, this is interesting, like mechanics and like structural things kind of working together. Anyways, on 8 to 10, you grasp something and pull. Choose one. Your frame floods your blood with her own, and each of you grow a new void corrupted asset. Set your heat to 4 and you're back in the fray. You pry your way out of the damaged cockpit, escaping into the battlefield. Say where you go. Another girl swoops in to rescue you. Ask for a volunteer or choose. Deepen your bond, and you're with her in the cockpit now. On 11+, all systems go dark. And your handler or their agents swoop in and rescue you. Choose 2. Lower your status, another girl can give you a tag. You'll face punishment after the mission. On a 7 to 9, you're deeply, deeply screwed. Choose 1 to 2. Die from your injuries. Your frame is destroyed. Pick a new frame playbook the next time you go off duty if you survive. Change your girl playbook. Lose your memories. Reset your identities to the standard 4, and then replace one identity with amnesiac. That's really fun. Beg your handler for another option. They'll offer you something just as ruinous as the other choices. You're defeated when you run out of frame assets or someone successfully goes for the core against you. If you run out of girl assets, you're instead helpless, and your foe can do as they please with you. I love the idea of starting a game of GIRLFRAME and being like, yeah, I'm gonna use the play defeat. I'm defeated in battle. I'm gonna roll for defeat. Someone should do that. Get out of the hangar and just immediately explode. Your frame was dog shit. Something was deeply wrong with this thing. Other rules. Skim this section before play. You should generally... I almost wish this was before the moves, but also, like... Again, I am maybe thinking about this too much from the perspective of someone who is reading the book in order. This is a lot of information that is, like, implied in the beginning, before the moves themselves, before the plays themselves. Yeah, it's interesting. Heat. How hard you're going, how far you're pushing yourself or your reactor. You gain heat through marking identities. Each heat can be spent to add one roll. Onto a roll, there's no limit to how much you can spend at once. Each time you act while holding 5 or more heat, you must spend all your heat. Spend heat before you roll. Okay, that's a good note. Identity is the way you see yourself. They can be marked or unmarked. When you act in a way that reinforces one of your unmarked identities, mark it and gain 1 to 3 heat as you choose. Interpreting the meaning of your identities is one of your responsibilities as a player, and you may go about it as you please. Your starting identities are dangerous, malfunctioning, programmed, and wired. You can have a maximum of 4 identities. If you'd gain more, you must replace an existing one.
That's fun.
Yeah, that's cool. Tags. Tags are things inflicted on a girl by others, typically descriptors or insults. They represent how others see you. Other players can mark one of your tags, bringing up why they think it's relevant. To shift your result, +1 or -1. If they do this to an already marked tag, you must choose. Take action to reject it at the soonest opportunity, erasing the tag. Embrace it, turning into an identity. Yeah, I am enjoying this tag identity system. That's cool. Once a tag has been marked, it cannot be marked again in the scene. Tags are marked after rolling the dice. Only one tag can be marked per roll. So heat is done before, tags are done after. And examples are beaten, slut, bootlicker, in charge, weapon, dyke, cruel, tranny, hero of the people. I read them in just a random order. Handler tags. If the handler has a tag, then the girl can remove that tag at any time to choose one. Ask your handler for a favor they are under no obligation to agree to. Attract your handler's full and undivided attention. Compel your handler to act on the tag. They can pause for a moment as they control themselves or give in and take action. As handlers or Foundation members, they can deprogram themselves when the girls go off duty. Gorgon tags. Rolls against a Gorgon using their tags get +1 or -1s. It seems like it's pretty similar. NPC tags, part of the way they think about themselves. Bonds. Let's go into bonds. Bonds are mutual connections with another pilot or your handler. Bonds have 3 depths: cadre, personal, or intense. They can be weakened or deepened to move up or down the scale. If they go above intense, each pilot gains 2 heat instead. At the depth of cadre, you have the following benefits. You're in the same cadre. You can communicate with each other on a direct channel through the radios in your frames. At the depth of personal, you also have the following benefits. You can mark one of her tags, you can adjust. Her role will be its, right? Legally? Anyway, sorry. It's a really minor... Well, actually, I guess it depends on if you're talking about the frame or the... the girl, right? Instead of a +1 or -1, you have feelings about her. Write them down somewhere if you want, or keep them secret inside your head. But you have to have them. At the depth of intense, you also have the following benefits. You can communicate complex ideas through eye contact or touch. You want to fuck her. Game uses she, her for girls intentionally in the girl segment to make people mess up pronouns more in play. Interesting. NPC bonds. NPC bonds with players other than girls, handlers, and harpies do not have depths. You can erase an NPC bond at any time to shift the result of a roll against them by +1 or -1. Status. Status is a measure of the pilot's rank within their cadre. The levels of status in order are Handler, unattainable by pilots. This is your Handler status. The Ace, the Handler's favorite pilot, receives an extra permission at the end of each mission. Only one pilot can be the Ace. The other pilots receive no special benefits, wings. The other pilots receive no special benefits or punishments. Any number of pilots can be wings. The Dog. The lowest ranked member of the group, the Handler will always punish the Dog at the end of each mission. Only one pilot can be the Dog. Status is exclusively hierarchical. It's hierarchical. It's hierarchical. Sorry, it's a really stupid reference to a Wizards with Guns video. Excuse me. Might be good for me to take a little break in a moment, finish my food. When you gain status, you shift yourself up and the pilot in front of you down. The highest status pilot is always the Ace, and the lowest status pilot is always the Dog. When someone of higher status gives you an order, make the receive orders play. While you might be tempted to try and share around status and thus punishments and privileges, to be fair, remember that those of higher status earn their privilege through hard work and dedication. If you're the Ace, you've earned it. Don't let the Dog drag you down. Christ. That's fun. I have the status section memorized verbatim to explain why the game is fucking amazing when chatting up other trans women Lamau. You're probably gonna have you probably have instant game for like the next 4 years. Like 2030 I think is probably gonna be like the run out point on that. But like before that point you can get as much pussy as you want. Sorry, everybody. Assigning status. At the start of the game, the handler will assign pilots starting status based on a metric of their choice, such as attractiveness, politeness, age, or experience, how well they pass, skill. That's great. That's beautiful. I love how evil this is. It's lovely. We keep running into the gay, not queer type, so we only get dirty looks half the time. I'm wishing you luck. I'm wishing everybody luck. I'm wishing all women luck. Assets are the gear of your girl and frame, weapons, armor plating, cybernetics, etc. They're typically used when fighting to damage opposing assets. You may have at any time up to 5 frame assets, up to 4 girl assets. If you would gain more assets than your maximum, replace a non-void asset with a new one. When you're defeated in battle by running out of frame assets, you must make a defeat play. If you run out of girl assets while outside your frame, you're instead helpless against your opponent. Gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss. So true. Helplessness. When you're helpless, you're beat up, emotionally collapsed, or otherwise damaged to the point where you can't or won't stop people from doing whatever they want to you. You'll become no longer helpless when you have a moment alone to compose yourself, if all your girl assets are damaged on damage 1, or someone helps you recover. Handler assets. When the handler would damage an asset or become helpless, they choose 1. Offer an opportunity, chance to act, or a moment of weakness. Suffer an injury but survive. Die. I assume one of their assets. I assume that's what that means. NPC assets. When an NPC would damage an asset, the attacker chooses 1, gravely injure them, leaving them broken and bleeding, give them a tag. Take something from them, move them, or otherwise gain an advantage. The handler may give them a tag if appropriate. Kill them. Yeah, I quite like these things. Can you castigate? I don't know. Permissions and requisitions. Permissions are a reward granted to pilots by the Foundation for mission successes and good behavior. This is quite mechanically dense. Then maybe it's because I'm reading it all out loud. I don't know. There's a lot going on here. I'll say. I'm sure it's interesting in play, and you know, it's, as I said, a type of PBTA that rewards mastery, kind of like your Hawkmoth or Apocalypse Keys. Makes me feel a lot better about the the systems in Sapphic World, which people keep calling like fucking overwrought. Or not people keep calling, but like every once in a while I encounter a person who's like, I cannot understand this game that you've shown to me, and it's like, Okay. Skill issue. Yeah, like there are so many girls playing GIRLFRAME. Castigate is a Lancer reference that refers to detonating your mech's reactor with you inside. I see. We had to legit run a mock game for ourselves with fake players to get the hang of it. Legit. They're used for either personal satisfaction and fulfillment or buying upgrades and repairs or vital frames. All pilots are granted one permission at the end of every mission they complete. Failure still grants permission, results in punishment alongside it. Whoever holds the ace status at the mission's end receives one additional permission. Certain girls and frames provide additional permissions. The list requisitions are examples. Girls may beg their handler for other options. Creature comforts. When you next roll... No, I need this here. I moved it and then I decided I need fan. When you next roll 8+ to go off duty, you can set a scene where you make some improvement to your life as a pilot. A new outfit, better food, a nicer room, etc. When you do, write a new girl asset reflecting it. Privacy. Pick another girl. While you're next off duty, you can set a scene with the two of you alone in a room. No cameras, no handler, no interruptions. There'll be trouble if one of you dies, but anything else is allowed. Awesome. Visiting home. 2 permissions. When you next roll 8+ to go off duty, you can set a scene where you have a supervised visit to your life pre-piloting. Jesus Christ. Retirement. 20 visit permissions. Go home. Reverse your surgeries. Leave the war front behind you. You've served your time. A new girl will replace you soon. Frame requisitions. Asset installment. Pick a new asset from any frame or write your own. Ability unlock. 2 permissions. Pick a new requisition from your frame. I broadened the doll I handle outside of games as a mandatory player. The rest of the girl players have slowly been calling me handler/sir more and more habitually out of character. It's great. God bless. The world is so beautiful. Women are so beautiful. I gotta play some games with some girls. Smiles. Hell yeah. Frame grafting, 3 permissions. Pick a rule from another frame and add it to your frame. Frame swap, 4 permissions. Pick 1 asset and 1 rule from your current frame. Pick a new frame playbook with those unlocked. Remember that just because you've earned a requisitioned. Requisitions doesn't mean your handler can't take it away. If you earned a requisition, I'm sure that's what that's meant to say. Doesn't mean your handler can't take it away if you've been bad. Punishment. Sometimes the play will call for someone to receive punishment an hour later, or the handler will dispense it. Punishment cannot be avoided as long as the girls are with the Foundation. Punishments are roughly grouped. Little expressionism here. A little gay. That's a little fucking gay. I don't know. It's a little gay for me. That's a little. I don't know. That's a little expressionist for my tastes. said sarcastically. That's cool. I like that. Punishments are roughly grouped into categories of severity. Minor punishments are considered by the Foundation to be minor but not long-lasting, unpleasant experiences. Moderate punishments are permanent removals of capabilities or tools. Severe punishments end a girl's career as a pilot. The one inflicting the punishment may choose one or make their own and add it to the list. You may describe a punishment in as much or as little detail as appropriate. The more uncomfortable or the more it makes the other player squirm, the better. Whoever is the dog at the end of the mission will be punished. I want to go through these. These seem cool. Sedation. Reduce heat to 0. Mark 2 identities that can't be unmarked if it receives its punishment while off duty. Beating. Inflict a tag representing its injuries and damage a girl asset. Revoked privileges. Temporarily remove a requisition. Reduce socialization. Weaken a bond. Quality time. Inflict a tag. Deepen the girl's bond with the one inflicting the punishment. Demotion. Lowered status. Stimulant injection. Gain 7 heat. Passing the responsibility. Pick a girl. You must pick a punishment instead and inflict it. Moderate punishments. Correctional programming. Remove an identity or force it to embrace a tag. Frame disassembly. Remove an asset from the frame. Compliance surgery. Remove an asset from the girl and replace it with a new one. think this would. The thing is, like, I don't know if I could play this as a girl because I think this would piss me off. I think I'm really bad with stuff like that. But you know, that's cool though. I like that. You know, I'm sure for a certain type of girl, that's like fucking ketamine. Strict regulations impose a rule on the girl's behavior. You may inform it of this rule or not. Breaking the rule will result in further punishment. Have you considered not being bad enough to be punished? I listen, here's the thing. I know that I would fucking wind up in that position. I know that whatever type of character I played, I would wind up being the fucking dog. That's just my luck. I would just roll badly. Like, anytime I play anything like Apocalypse Keys or Praise the Lockmoth King, I just fucking suffer. I get owned. It's okay. My soft dom girl side is also having a struggle. It's, well, you could be the handler. You just have to be a nice handler. I don't think you can be a nice handler unless I think you have some responsibilities that you're meant to uphold. Is my sense. As far as I'm concerned, all robot girl disassembly is porn. So true. It can't initiate libido inhibitor. It can't initiate sex until it is removed. Although someone else can still initiate sex with it. Note: a girl must consult with the handler if it wishes to inflict a moderate punishment. Handlers are encouraged to reward creativity and a go-getter attitude. Severe punishments. Only the handler may inflict severe punishments, and typically only in cases of severe insubordination. Execution. They must make a new character. Lobotomization. Remove all identities and tags, replace them with 2 identities of the handler's choice. Reduce all bonds of Condre, and may no longer make the disobey orders play. Indefinite imprisonment. They must make a new character. The handler may allow it to come back at any time. Link surgery reversal. It loses its frame. They may keep playing if they wish, but they can no longer go on missions or pilot a vital frame. Jesus Christ. That's fun. Those are good. Void seems interesting. I think what we may do is take a little break. And then I think folks are welcome to read these on their own. Because also it seems like where a lot of the mystery is, and I kind of want to leave that for folks. It seems cool. So I think we're gonna take a little break, take like a 5-minute break, so I can finish my dinner, and then we're gonna get into the girls. My girls, my fucking girls, my fucking girls. We're gonna talk to my fucking girls. We're gonna look at my girls. Oh, my girls. Oh. Anytime anyone mentions Lantern in my chat,
I shoot you with a gun.
a new hand touches my beacon, but like in a bad way. Hey, quit fucking in my chat. Hang on, I'm getting back in here. I'm getting back in. Quit. Oh, wait, that's not. Oh, wait, wrong one. Quit fucking in my chat. Wait, hang on, I gotta. How do I do it? Quit fucking in my chat, huh?
That's crazy.
Enough fucking around. Cut it off. No, off of her. Off of her. Get the fuck off of her. Anyways, hi everybody. I'm back. I had my race with chicken, then my beautiful girlfriend made me, and now I have Arizona sour fruit snaps, which I'm assuming are getting discontinued because they were on like deep sale. We got like 2 boxes for like fucking $2. So I'm just playing the playstyle of the Dog Runner Handler playbook. Oh hell yeah. Director Cole. Awawa. I heard there's gonna be Mexflow around here. Yeah.
No.
Does anybody have? I think I'm gonna read 2 girls. And maybe I'll read 2 old girls and the new ones, some of the new ones. Does anyone have preferences? People who have read the book before. Any favorites? Because I do think I'm going to limit it somewhat, just so we can get to the end of this. Princess, Mockingbird, Stimblist. I could do all three of those. That shouldn't be too bad. Definitely Mockingbird. Old Gen. I'm seeing a lot of like definitely Mockingbird. Oh yeah, I'm glad you like that commission you got for me, Slimtaro. I quite enjoyed making that piece. Okay, so I think we're gonna go Princess, Mockingbird, Old Gen. I'm seeing Casualty. I could probably do 4. I don't imagine these are too complicated. Mockingbird and Princess are the two that show the most dichotomy of the OG girl books. Okay. Let's read through Princess. Princess, you're a show dog. When the Foundation wants you to settle unrest, give the public a boost of morale, you're who they trot out. You're pretty, reasonably confident, and don't have the more visible malfunctions of your sisters. You're the perfect girl. Assets. Pick 2 girl assets and detail them. Gun, legal. Hidden exoskeleton, military jacket, old dog tags, some actual cash. So you're the pinup, right? You know? Bonds. Pick 1 girl to have a personal bond with. You have a codger bond with everyone else. Used to be as famous as me, but you got replaced. You saw something that could have ruined me, but you haven't told anyone. You also have a bond with 1 to 2 of the following NPCs: doe-eyed captain, corrupt politician, glamorous celebrity, cute junior handler. I'm glad that we're getting defined NPC bonds. That's a great thing for, you know, keeping things outside of the just the pilot and handler dynamic. Princess plays objectively beautiful. When you keep your head, you're always sexy enough regardless of your choices. You can mark one of your own tags to adjust your role when you flirt. Objectively beautiful is a really funny name. To a higher standard, you're the exception to the metric your handler uses to assign status. You begin the game as the ace. As long as you're the ace, you may use she, her pronouns. That's awesome. You have extra standards you are held to, so long as you are not the dog. Your handler may add 1 to 2 standards if they wish, or allow you to come up with them. Report other pilots for disloyal speech or behavior. Always refer to girls by their official pronouns, its. Make public appearances after each mission. Give cool and awesome blowjobs to the handler.
Handler.
And smile. There we go. Do people like those? Or this good? The handler. One of our princess rules is that it may only... I do like rules a lot, is the thing. One of our princess rules is that it may only refer to itself in third person. Therefore, it's impossible to determine whether what the player's saying is in character or out. I would probably do pretty well as this playbook. I think I would have fun with this one. Should you break any of these standards, even accidentally, your handler will punish you if they find out. At the end of each mission where you upheld your standards, raise your status. If you are already the ace, you may take an additional permission for a total of 3 permissions. Show dog. When your handler shows you off, roll -1 if you're the dog, +1. Do you pick these or you just have these? Okay. +1 if you're a wing, and +3 if you're the ace. On 8 to 10, choose 1 to 2 and describe it. You're too much in the public eye for the Foundation to punish, at least for now. Start a trend or controversy, risks punishment. Put someone else in the public eye, risks punishment. Send a message, risks punishment. Present a particular appearance, risks punishment. Someone who saw your appearance wants to fuck you. Someone who saw your appearance wants to own you. Someone who saw your appearance wants to kill you. On 11+, choose 1 to 2, and your handler will choose 1. Describe the public appearance. On a 7 or lower, your handler chooses 1 to 2 and describes the public appearance for you. If you don't get punished afterwards, raise your status. Sex play. When you have sex with someone, spend heat and roll. On 8 to 10, when you pick the princess, the rest of the cadre often find it really funny to make you be the dog. That does make sense. When you have sex with someone, spend heat and roll. On an 8 to 10, you were perfect. Ask them for a favor. If they refuse, you may give them a tag. On an 11 plus, you were perfect. Choose a play, which they must immediately take, and you make any decisions for them. On a 7 to 9, you couldn't live up to your image. They give you a tag and weaken your bond. I definitely do see how, like, a lot of this stuff would really lead to some really freaky, like, incestuous, like, you know, girls just fucking wailing on each other, trying to, you know, bring each other down. It's fun. It's fun stuff. It's a very fun way to frame a, like, TTRPG party, right? Mockingbird. You fell to the Gorgons, becoming a harpy, a corrupted girl. The Foundation took you back, ripped you out of void space with a cold hand, deprogrammed and reprogrammed you back into working order, purging what the Gorgons put in your head and body with scalpels and chemicals. You were a human. The Incest Playbooks is the Bonded. Interesting. I'll have to read that one at some point. You were a human and you tasted what it was to be a dream. Now you're less than either. Assets. Pick 2 girl assets and detail them. Choose one to be altered by the void. Adaptive restraints, synesthesia, umbilical biolink, nerve blockers, vestigial limbs. Fuck yeah. My girls are constantly tearing one another down to earn validation and approval from an external authority. God bless. Fuck yeah. Pick one girl to have a personal bond with. You have a cadre bond with everyone else. When I was a harpy, I was obsessed with you. After my surgeries, you told me about when I was once a human. You also have a bond with 1 to 2 of the following NPCs. The lunch lady, the surgeon who fixed you, the guard who doesn't talk, whatever lives in the vents if you're caught. Awesome. Mockingbird plays Risk Factor. You do not succumb to being a harpy unless you're in your frame and all of her assets are altered by the void. Even then, if you can keep your head in control of yourself, you'll be able to resist. You can shift the result of any roll you make to an 8 to 10 by taking on Void. Call of the Void, and when you dive deep, you can also pick from the following options. I blur the line between myself and her, making any number of girl assets into frame assets, or vice versa. I bring someone else in the cockpit with me to speak with her as I do. I use her as a relay to instead commune with nearby Gorgons. Bad at being a person. I've seen it said that the GIRLFRAME setting's good ending is every human becomes a harpy. Interesting. Well, clearly there are also rebels. I don't know what the rebels are up to. But I hope they win. When you try to hold a conversation, spend heat and roll. You may not explain what you mean out of character. On an 8 to 10, pick 3 you can do. All others you can't. Yeah, the infighting is definitely interesting. Anyways, I'm gonna keep reading. Human words, normal sentence structure, fluid body language, correct facial expressions, polite eye contact, deception. So, I get why this game wouldn't do, like, plays that... Like, this game doesn't have moves that, like, do a thing permanently, right? Like, it is all plays. Yeah, that is interesting. That your character's socialization shifts so much. The rebels are not the good guys, I say. On 11 plus, pick 4, but they give you a tag based on whichever ones you can't do. On a 7 or lower as an 11 plus, but pick up to 2. You can't leave the conversation until they say you're allowed to. Sex play. When you have sex with someone, spend heat and roll. On 8 to 10, you break a barrier. Choose one from bad at being a person. While you're talking with them, if your bond is at least personal, you can always use that option in addition to whatever you pick. On 11 plus, you invade and infect them with yourself. They gain void in an asset of your choice and deepen your bond. Excuse me. On a 7 or lower, you're in over your head and break down the act, becoming helpless. They can do as they like for now, but your handler will give them a tag if anyone finds out. I like this, like... God, I don't even know if I can describe the thing that this is on Twitch, but it's really, really interesting. You know what? I'll risk it. It's real, like, it's real, like, being sexually assaulted as like an autistic person shit. Um, this is a very autistic playbook in a way that's really interesting, and having, yeah, yeah. Casualties next. You were the best of the best until you died, or might have as well have died. They had to rebuild you from almost nothing, a courtesy any other girl might have not been given. They call it a second chance to prove your worth. Pick 2 girl assets and to tell them. Brain full of tech, blank eye contacts, death instinct implant, integrated weapons, body plating. Bonds. Pick 1 girl to have a personal bond with. You have a cadre bond with everyone else. We had a mutual friend who the Foundation chose not to save. You're the last person who saw me smile. You also have a bond with 1 to 2 of the following NPCs. A stray cat that hangs around the base, your physiotherapist, a civilian you text with on a stolen cell phone, a prisoner you died capturing. Hawawa. You must use Wounded. Is Wounded God, yeah, okay. You must use Wounded God whenever you roll a 7 or lower on the defeat play. When you're defeated, regardless of your roll, also choose 1. Gain 3 heat, raise another girl status. Barely a girl. You can always erase an identity to undamage an asset. Wounded God. Divide your body into pieces an ideal pilot possesses. Legs, hands, eyes, ears, head, face, vital organs link. If destroyed, you cannot pilot. Brain, if destroyed, you die. You are the best pilot the world had ever seen. You can destroy a piece of your body to change a roll you make to an automatic 11+. You must destroy a piece of your body if all your girl assets are damaged or you gain void. It costs a permission to get a destroyed body part replaced. Your handler can destroy pieces of your body as a punishment. When you have sex with someone, spend heat and roll. On 8 to 10, you can't feel anything, but you do your best anyways. Ask if they notice. Each of you can unmark an identity. On 11+, you can't control yourself. Each of you gains 3 to 4 heat and damage 1 of their girl assets unless you destroy a piece of your body. On a 7 or lower, you can't feel anything. Tell them they're unsatisfied, and they can give you a tag if they agree. I like that. I like a robot that can't really fuck. Can't fuck very good. Was there our other one old gen? I think our other one was old gen. Bubble Bay, old gen. Every casualty I've seen was in a wheelchair after spending their legs in the first mission. Jesus Christ. Old gen. Generations of girls are measured shorter than those of legal humans. Depending on death statistics, the oldest usually last a maximum of 5 to 8 years. You're of an older generation than the other girls. Lucky or just that good. This isn't your first cadre, but it's likely to be your last. That's really fucking bleak. I love that. Pick 2 girl assets and tail them. Titanium bone replacements, drug-enhanced muscles, last gen link, organ reconstructions, a lifetime of concussions. Pick 1 girl to have a personal bond with. You have a cadre bond with everyone else. I met you once when you were too young to pilot and didn't see you again until you joined my cadre. You were the newest member of my last cadre, which we were the only survivors of. You also have a bond with 2 of the following NPCs: a retired handler, a former pilot confined to a hospital bed, a harpy you knew what feels like a lifetime ago, the director who fucking hates you. I would really like to... Old Gen seems fun. Old Gen plays Elder Bitch. When you keep your head, you can also always pick the following in addition to any others. I feel like playing as or against an Old Gen, like playing as a Old Gen's handler seems fun. You know what you're doing if there was any doubt, just the way it is. Pick 2 maxims that shape the world. When another girl reinforces one of those maxims to your satisfaction, you can mark it to give her 1 to 2 heat. When someone rejects a maxim or you go off duty, you can unmark it. It's the duty of the strong to control the weak. Everyone gets what they deserve. You never know what your next meal will be. Keeping yourself alive is the only thing that matters. Nothing feels better than piloting. Not even handlers can cheat death forever. There's no point in getting attached to a doomed dog. Old dog, new pups. When you give another girl advice, spend heat and roll. On 8 to 10, she has to shut up, sit down, and listen. Raise your status, and if she rejects your advice, you can give her a tag. On 11 plus, you force her to listen. Give her a tag and raise your status. If she rejects your advice and it goes poorly for her, you can force her to embrace the tag. On a 7 to 9, your advice rings hollow. She gives you a tag and can unmark an identity. Sex play. When you have sex with someone, spend heat and roll. On 8 to 10, raise your status and ask her if she thinks you're a creep. If she says yes, you can give her a tag. Otherwise, she picks one of your maxims to unmark. God, this is so... isn't trans in 28 smile or 27 smiles. Smiles. On 11 plus, she's putting your hands. Pick 1 to 2. Give her a tag. Lower her status. Unmark your rules. Deepen your bond with her. Leave her in no state to do anything afterwards. On a 7 to 9, on a 7 or lower, she gives you new experience. She can rewrite one of your maxims. Oh yeah. Elder girl still in her 20s, yeah. Listen, it's T-girl shit. Alright. Frames. I will do 2 frames. I'll do exactly 2 frames. What are the frames I gotta read? Fucking hit me. Janice. Janice and Consume. Prince is quintessential. And Wyvern. Janice, Consume, Wyvern. That's what I'm seeing. No, I'm only doing 2. I'm doing Consume and Janice. Folks should read Wyvern themselves, I think. Consume. The Gorgons that Priestess frames incorporate are, as far as Foundation science can tell, biological. They still need to eat like any living thing. The engineers of Consume took that fact and repurposed it, the frame becoming specially designed for capture and hold missions against Gorgons, escaped girls, and harpies. Assets. Pick 2 frame assets and detail them. Grabby, Corruptor Tendrils, Keratin Spikes, Autonomous, Normality Gun, Feral Claws, Neuro Shards, Void Step Core, Cage Plating. Eat. When you put a defeated Gorgon, Harpy, or other frame in your frame's mouth, can choose 1. Swallow them alive and hold them immobilized but alive within your frame. Crush them in your jaws, their blood spilling from between your teeth. Reduce your hunger. When you eat a girl, a Harpy outside her frame, or regular people, you don't have to defeat them first and choose 1. Bringing home presents. When you return to base with a prisoner for your handler, gain an additional permission when you go off duty. Tell your handler that they gain the play. Introduce what remains of a prisoner after reconditioning. Yay! Yay! You're at all times either content, hungry, or ravenous. Content. Normal. When you go off duty, increase to hungry. Hungry can be used as a tag against you. When you go off duty or half your assets become damaged, increase to ravenous. Ravenous. You cannot spend heat on plays that aren't seeking out something to eat. You gain 1 heat every time you make a play. This kind of reminds me of one of the Hawkmoth playbooks in a good way. Time to have a snack. Time to have a little snack. Time to have a little treat. Time to have a little sneak. Time to have a little a treat or a snack or something, maybe. I think I'm gonna have a little snack. Requisitions. You can choose any of these using permissions. If you're playing a quicker game, choose one of these to start. Feral. When you succumb to an impulse, roll -1 of your content. Actually, how many of these are there? Ah, yes, okay. I think we may just read the basic plays for the frames, as cool as these are. Janice. Priestess frames often begin as scavenged harpies. Their girls dead or separated. The umbilical spikes and flesh melds cut away to make room for a cockpit. Janice is an experiment. When a prospective pilot steps in for the first time, they find the frame's original pilot staring back at them. Seems the best advancement cannibal requisition forms. Yeah, it gives you legal permission to eat someone other than your handler or superiors. God bless, that's cool. Priestesses are Biomechs, Legion, or old clunky mechs, and Autocrat are the shiny state-of-the-art mechs. That's cool. That's interesting. Core rules, assets. Pick 2 frame assets and detail them. Leviathan Rapier, Enhanced Nerve Processors, Gorgon Pheromones, Inverted Blade, Guntail, Metaphysicological Catnip, Omniscience Chip, Burrower Drones, Cannon of the Unreformed, Chained Harpy. A Harpy core, an ex-girl who lost herself to the Gorgons, never surgically or made into a mockingbird, lives still attached to the inside of the Janus's cockpit. She begins the game with the following tags. Drugged, she'll never say no. Restrained, she cannot make plays. Muzzled, she cannot speak. Or recovering from surgery, she's in pain. While she has her tags, she's not a danger to anyone. You cannot communicate with her or give her a name. She can be played by any player or handler. This is so Ava. This is so fucking Shindy's mom. And whoever plays her may change her, or may change at any time. She otherwise follows normal Harpy rules. Attempting to remove her tags will result in punishment, and they will be replaced by the Foundation when you go off duty. Living Battery. When you plug your Neuralink into the Harpy's spinal cord, roll with +1 for each tag she has. Recommend taking a look at least one non-priestess one, since Consume and Janus are both priestesses. They have very different vibes. Yeah, we can look at one that's non-priestess. On 8 to 10, the connection forms smoothly. Pick 2. Gain 1 to 4 heat, deepen your bond with her, unmark up to 2 identities. Gain the additional girl asset Harpy Cognition until you unplug. Gain the additional girl asset Offset Emotional Load until you unplug. Ask her a question, and the direct brain-to-brain link means you may communicate freely. On 11 plus, your will completely overrides hers. Pick 4. On a 7 or lower, she fights back. You can only pick 1 and erase 1 of her tags. If all of her tags are erased, nothing is stopping her from taking the frame over, immediately causing all frame assets to become touched by the void. Sick. All the original 6 frames are incredible. Cool. Ooh, excuse me. Let's read Wyvern. Legion class. The Wyvern frame was never finished. She was originally made for a full cadre to pilot, a mobile base for expeditions into void space. The testing cadres all died, and the concept was repurposed. She's too enormous for one person to handle, too large to a weight to bear, a behemoth for 8 girls that you must pilot alone. Core rules. You have the frame asset Enormous, which doesn't count against your maximum frame assets and can't be replaced. Pick 2 other frame assets and detail them. Secondary gunners, Nuclear Claws, Shadow Generator, Missile Bay, the Plate, Adaptive Quadrupedality, Star Core, the Wolf Jaw, Gravity Well. All these assets are so fucking good. This is the thing that I've wanted from mech games, which is like, I think my issue with a lot of mech TTRPGs, and I honestly kind of extend this to some of the story game stuff that came out post Firebrands, is there's just been a lack of like just things, evocative names, and leaving it at that. I think a lot of stuff just really wants to like stat shit out. I don't need ranges, I don't need like tiers, I don't need elements, I just need the fucking wolf jaw, you know? A vast and trackless beast. When you explore your frame, say if you're bringing anyone with you, spend heat and roll. On 8 to 10, ask your frame a question and unmark an identity. What do I find in the server rooms beeping and humming? What do I find in the engine room burning hot? What do I find in the cots hidden beneath the beds and blankets? What do I find in the cockpit, most of its chairs lying cold and empty? What do I find in the hall, seemingly endless and terribly dark? What do I find in the kitchen? I love how this is just like a fucking, your mech is a haunted house. That's so cool. Between expired ration packets. What do I find in a secret panel installed with rudimentary tools? What do I find outside the frame, wedged in the vast tracts of armor plating? It is a core play that can force you to kill yourself. God bless. On 11 plus, ask your frame 2 questions from above, but your handler chooses 1 from below. Unmark 2 identities. It takes some time for you to get back safely. Something within the frame doesn't want to let you go, and you'll have to make a play to make your escape. On a 7 or lower, your handler chooses 1 from each. Unmark an identity. Mechs are better when you're making up blasts and ultra saber blades and such. I so deeply agree. If I were to ever do a mech game, it would definitely share that kind of rough shape. Leviathan chases.
You don't like the answer?
I don't like Lancer. Sorry. I don't need to know the range on my guns. I need to know what evil scientist or cool lesbian engineer it's named after. Exactly. When you keep your head while piloting, you're always big enough in addition to other choices. You can hold other vital frames within your frame for transportation. I feel like I never really understood what vital frame means. Maybe it was explained.
I think that's you, the girl.
No, because a girl is a girl. I think the idea here is that you're a carrier. You're holding frames within your frame. A heavy burden. When you attempt to rouse your frame to action. Vital frame is just the full term for frames. Okay, cool. When you attempt to rouse your frame to action, spend heat and roll. On an 8 to 10, you blink perfectly, dancing through its crushing neural impulses and coaxing it into action. Your frame becomes roused. You can erase rouse to choose one. Strike with inevitable fury, crushing a foe's asset beneath your bulk. When someone makes a play against you, proclaim that you're too big to be affected by it. They must make another play instead. Pin someone down, they must deal with you before they can do anything else. On 11 plus, you drag the beast into a roaring frenzy, even as it crushes your mind through the link. Erase 2 identities and gain 1 to 10 heat, and your frame becomes roused. On a 7 or lower, your frame mercilessly shatters yourself for daring to try and awaken it. Erase an identity. You'll always act last in any situation until you unlink. Scary. Yay. Yay, yes. That's a cool one. So what's beneath this? What lies below? Because there's so much more book. These are like the additional ones, right? Because I know the idea was that there's like the regular girls, ancillary playbooks. Ancillary playbooks provide a simplified experience for playing girls who have a side character role. They can be used for someone's second character, NPCs who enter a frame, or by players trying to get a feel for the system. They use girl rules with some simplifications. They cannot deep dive, and they may not set their own scenes when they go off duty. When they make a defeat play, they instead choose die or change their playbook. They do not track permissions. They use NPC rules for bombs. They do not take a frame playbook, instead take 2 frame assets from any frame. Interesting. Ancillary girls can become full girls at any time if it feels appropriate, picking a new playbook or keeping the same one. I know the one that I want to read. Actually, there's 2 of these I want to read because they're the new ones. And I know I'm probably spoiling stuff, but I specifically want to read Angel Wife, and I want to read War Boy. I want to read both of those because these seem good. Angel Wife. You're an angel of the Gordon Paul. It's a designated wife pilot, here for defense against the Foundation and anything else they might desire of you. This is the life you were chosen for. Unflinching service. No piece of yourself held back. No thoughts beyond those he gives you. You exist for him. Assets. Pick 2 girl assets and detail them. Embed ring, seraphim core, restriction belt, praise earbud, pretty dress. So this is the trad wife. Oh right, handler playbooks. We should get to those. Yes. You start with a bond with your husband. Choose whether he is Gordon Paul himself, leader of the financial cult, one of his buddies, his seconds in command. Angel Wife plays. Chaste. If you have sex with anyone you believe is not a man, neither of you may make sex plays. While you have an intense bond with a woman, you cannot use this mechanic. Made for service. Replace your dangerous identity with wife. You may never choose to replace that identity. While you have this identity, you follow these rules. You may not disobey orders from your husband. You must always look pretty, but not look like a whore. You must refer to everyone with he or she pronouns as your husband directs. Gordon Paul is a really good name, I agree. When you have sex with someone, spend heat and roll. On 8 to 10, you perform prettily. You can give them a tag and they have to leave you alone for now. On 11 plus, you lose yourself grabbing them and not letting go. They can choose one of your identities to replace. If they aren't your husband, damage one of their assets. On a 7 or lower, you zone out. They can choose one of your identities to replace, and you're helpless if you want to be. If they want you to be. The Wyvern in my cadre is an ancient spaceship more than a century old, now retrofitted and crippled into a weapon of war. She's a marvel of engineering from a more optimistic age. Fuck yeah. That's awesome. Straight breaking playbook, so true. I also have a Force Fem playbook. Warboy. You're one of the pilots of the Sun's Fury, a man recruited through encrypted chat apps and anonymous message boards, broken down and built back up as a soldier using illegal conditioning and brain pattern manipulation. You have the greatest weapon humanity ever built. Everyone else is ants beneath your boot. Pick 2 girl, crossed off, boy assets and detail them. God, in parentheses, dads. Beast conditioning, encryption link, box of secrets, nice belt. You have no bonds, but you want to fuck someone. Choose one of the girls in particular. Any of them will do. Warboy plays. Boy, you use he/him pronouns. If you're in a cadre, use she/her pronouns. If you're the dog, your pronouns can be used like tags. Condition hate. When you become helpless, you can instead mark one of your tags and stop being helpless, as long as you immediately act to reaffirm it. Sex play. When you have sex with someone, spend heat and roll. On 8 to 10, they weren't good enough for you. Weaken your bond with them and they can give you a tag. On 11 plus, you humiliate them. Weaken their bonds with everyone, including you, and give them a tag. On a 7 or lower, you collapse their touch. Deepen your bond with them and they can give you an identity. While you have a bond with them, all of your rolls to disobey orders from them are automatically 7 or lower. Interesting. It's interesting that we're hitting safety now. But I also get it, because I think there's a degree to which like things are templated. I like these calls. I like palette grid. It's good stuff. I want to read the sex bit. This game has sex plays and assumes characters are going to have sex. When your characters are having sex, you should be thinking about vaguely in order. This game cannot keep you safe and does not want to. Yeah, I like that line. That's really good. Huge props. That is in line with a lot of things I've been thinking about with design, so I'm glad to see it. When characters are having sex, you should be thinking about, vaguely in order, how you're keeping this private enough that nobody breaks it up. What is physically happening? That's an interesting dimension to this, which I think makes sense for this game. How the characters are different from each other, how that difference shows during sex, what happens afterwards. If 3 or more characters are having sex, each player only rolls once. Typically, after describing what is physically happening and before describing how the characters are different from each other is when all involved characters should make their sex plays. Some stuff about fighting outside your frame. I would love to see a frame. Is there a frame in this that's like you're like a Titanfall guy? Like you have like an exosuit? You're like a little fucking asshole. You're a little guy. Girls are game masters too. Oh, that's good. Yeah, when you go off duties, your responsibility to set a scene. Do not make your handler do it for you. That's really good. If you have a question, ask it to the table, not just the handler. When the table is asked a question, discuss it, theorize, or answer yourself rather than looking to the handler. That's what you do with the small asset for your girl. Hell yeah. I love a little Titanfall exosuit. I love running along mechs and shit and jumping on mechs and jetpacking. Girly pops in a shitty little exosuit standing next to the 100-meter tall wyvern. Fuck yeah. Learn your playbook mechanics and basic plays. The handler has their own rules to worry about. Pick up NPCs and play them. When you're not in the scene, take interest in the other players and characters, engaged with them unprompted. This is all really good stuff. I quite like it. The handler, I don't know if I want to get into, just because I kind of want to end soon. I kind of want to get into, but this is all like really interesting stuff. Hang on.
Let's do a part 2.
I could do a part 2. That's true. It is getting to like 2 hours here, which tends to be when I kind of wind down. It would be really funny to do a part 2 and make you all come back maybe next week for the thrilling conclusion. You know, through all this, I haven't even thought to have this. I mean, I did think about it. I'm actually lying. It would be cool to have Thistle on here, maybe as a finale to this mini-series on GIRLFRAME. I think it would be good to end for tonight. Come back next week, refreshed, start on the handler. Read the handler plays, read some handler playbooks. And, I'm curious what's below. Well, let's just look at the table of contents really quick. Goes into handler creation. Gorgons, of course. Harpies, Rebellion, NPCs. I'd love to read this. Running PBTA fights. That is a fascinating thing that I'm gonna save for next time. Yeah, I think we'll give it a we'll do a next time on. Thank y'all for watching. Let me yeah. I hope that everybody enjoyed. I hope that me running through my thoughts on this as things went was not too frustrating. I enjoyed this. But yeah. Thank y'all for watching. Who am I rating? There's like no one I really want to raid. Abo Bibo. I don't have anyone in my anyone in my cadre who's up right now. Let me just give it one last look here. Moonshot. I mean, they're kind of towards the end of that. Yeah, you know, I'm gonna raid Moonshot, because, you know, they're teacher review folks. Go say hi to Moonshot. I think they're playing Final Fantasy X. Go say hi, and take care, everybody. I hope you enjoyed, and I will be back next week for more awesome and cool gaming. By gaming, I mean reading. Alright, good night, everybody. Bye.
Remember, if you don't like what you see, you can change it. It's up to you, really. Goodbye, good luck. Fans!